Hello everyone. Let us continue with our data mining concepts. In this video, we are going to discuss about an unsupervised learning technique called as clustering. The process of grouping a set of physical or abstract objects into classes of similar objects is called clustering. That is, we are grouping the objects based on its similarity. So the similar objects are grouped together to form a cluster. So a cluster is a collection of objects that are similar to one another within the same cluster and are dissimilar to the objects in other cluster. So that's the basic principle of clustering. The intra-cluster similarity should be high, whereas the inter-cluster similarity should be low. Okay, so the similarity within the cluster should be high, whereas the similarity between the objects in the other cluster should be low. Okay, the cluster of objects can be treated as one group, and so it can be considered as a form of data compression. So the similar objects are grouped to form a cluster, and we can treat this cluster as a single object, or it can be treated as a single group, as a one group, and so it can be considered as a form of data compression. And this clustering concept is an unsupervised learning technique that builds the models from the data without any predefined classes. So we are not given with any labeled data set to form the cluster. Okay, so we need to find out the similarity between the objects. Okay. As we just said, this clustering is done based on the similarity measure to group similar data objects together. So we need to have some measures to find out the similarity between the data objects, right? So we are having various distance measures for finding out the similarity. Okay, so the distance functions such as Euclidean distance, Manhattan distance, Minkowski distance, cosine similarity, etc. can be used for finding out the similarity between the data objects. Okay, so and the commonly used distance function is Euclidean distance. Okay, fine. This cluster analysis has been widely used in various application areas such as market research, pattern recognition, data analysis, image processing, machine learning, etc. The clustering methods can be classified into partitioning methods, hierarchical methods, density-based methods, grid-based methods, model-based methods, and constraint-based method. Okay, now let's discuss about these partitioning methods in detail. This partitioning method is a clustering method which classifies the information into multiple groups based on the characteristics and similarity of the data. So this partitioning method constructs k partitions of the data. This k is a user specified value. Okay, so we are given with a database of n objects. So this partitioning method constructs k partitions of the data where each partition represents a cluster, and this k should be less than or equal to n. While clustering or while partitioning, we should take care of 2 points. Each partition should contain at least one object, and each object must belong to exactly one group. Okay, so and also the criterion for this good partitioning is that the intra cluster similarity should be high, whereas the inter cluster similarity should be low. That is, the objects in the same cluster are close to each other, whereas objects in the different clusters are very different. And there are many algorithms that come under this partitioning method, and among these the most common partitioning methods are k-means and k-mediot. The second type of clustering method is hierarchical method. In this method, individual data points are taken as clusters initially, and then the nearby clusters are joined one by one to make one big cluster. So initially all the data points are taken as cluster, and In the next step, we are joining the nearby clusters to form a big cluster. And it can be classified into two, agglomerative and divisive. Agglomerative is a bottom-up approach. So it starts with each object forming a separate group. It successively merges the objects or groups that are close to one another until all of the groups are merged into one, or until a termination condition holds. So suppose that if you are having 5 different objects, namely A, B, C, D and E. Okay, so initially all the objects will be in separate groups. So A will be in the cluster 1, similarly B in cluster 2, and similarly all the 5 objects are in different clusters. Okay, so in the agglomerative approach, it merges the objects or groups that are close to one another. So if this A and B are close to each other, the cluster 1 and cluster 2 will be merged first. So now we'll be getting C1, A and B merged together to form a new cluster, right? Then this cluster is, the newly formed cluster is then merged with the next nearest object. Okay, and similarly this process will continue until all the clusters are merged into one, or a termination condition reached. Okay, so that is the case of agglomerative. Whereas the divisive, it is a just opposite to that though of agglomerative. It is a top-down approach. So initially all the objects will be placed in a single group. So all the objects A, B, C, D, E, all these objects are placed in a single group. Then we will be dividing each into separate groups based on its dissimilarity. Okay, so the A, B, C, D, E will be initially in a single group. Then later on we will be dividing each object into different groups. Okay, so that is the case of divisive. So these are the two main hierarchical methods. The third type of clustering method is density based methods. This method is based on the concept of density. The basic idea is to continue growing the given cluster as long as the density in the neighborhood exceeds some threshold. The density means the number of objects. Okay, so this cluster will continue growing as long as the density in the neighborhood exceeds some threshold value. That is, for each data point within a given cluster, the radius of the given cluster has to contain at least a minimum number of points. It should contain a minimum number of objects. Okay, so that is the density based methods. It is based on the concept of the number of objects in the cluster. The next method is grid based method. In this, the objects together form a grid. So this method quantizes the object space into a finite number of cells that form a grid structure. And the major advantage of this method is the fast processing time. And the next method is model based method. It uses some statistics methods or hypothesis to model each of the clusters and to find out the best fit of the data to the given model. So these methods, model based methods, hypothesize a model for each of the clusters and finds the best fit of the data to the given model. So this method provides a way to automatically determine the number of clusters based on some standard statistics. Okay. Now let's discuss about one of the most commonly used and simplest form of clustering algorithm, that is the K-means algorithm. This K-means algorithm is a classical partitioning method. Okay, so this clustering can also be called as Lord's algorithm. So it is an iterative algorithm which tries to cluster the data into k number of clusters with similar attributes. So the k is a user defined value. So it clusters the data into k number of clusters with similar attributes. So the k-means algorithm takes the input parameter k and partitions a set of n objects into k clusters so that the resulting intra-cluster similarity is high but the intercluster similarity is low. And this cluster similarity can be measured using this mean value of the objects in a cluster, and which can be viewed as the cluster's centroid or center of gravity. So we can find out the similarity using this mean value. Okay. So if you are given with the value of k, the k-means algorithm can be implemented in 4 steps. The first step is partition the object into k non-empty subsets. Then second step is we need to calculate the centroid of the clusters of the current partition. The centroid means the center, that is the mean point of the cluster. Then the third step is assign each object to the cluster with the nearest centroid. And the fourth step is repeat the process until a termination condition reaches, until the criterion function converges. Typically, we are using the square error criterion. The term error means the distance to the nearest neighbor, nearest cluster. So from the point P to the mean point of the cluster, that is the error. And we are squaring these errors. P minus Mi is squared. And finally, we are taking the sum of them. Okay, so to get SSE, we square these errors and sum them. And this criterion function is used for used as the termination condition of this algorithm. The flowchart of the k-means clustering algorithm is depicted here. As we know, to start with, the k-means clustering algorithm requires the value of k, the number of clusters. Okay, so first we need to give the value of k. Let k is equal to 2. Then the algorithm will arbitrarily choose two objects or 2 points to be the centroid for these two clusters. Okay, so the second step is selection of centroids. It arbitrarily choose any two objects as the centroid, any 2 points as the centroid for these two clusters. Okay, then it calculates the distance of other points from their centroids. Okay, so we are going to calculate the P minus Mi. So to each point, from each point to the centroid, it calculates the distance. And we will assign the data point nearer to the centroid number 1 into the cluster A, and the points nearer to the centroid number 2 into the second cluster B. Now we are having two clusters, right? So in the cluster A, we'll be having some points which are nearer to the centroid number 1, and in cluster B, we are having some points which are nearer to the centroid number 2. Okay, so this is the round 1 of this k-means clustering algorithm. In the second round, the centroid of the clusters A and B are now calculated again according to the mean of distance of the points in the cluster to the centroid of that cluster. Okay, so we are calculating the centroid again, recomputing the centroid again. So the next step is we need to calculate the distance of data points from the new centroid, right? So we are again calculating the P minus Mi. We are again calculating the distance between each point to the centroid of the cluster C1 and C2. In some cases, the sum of the points which were in the cluster B may now more closer to the cluster A. So such points will be moved to the cluster A, which that can be moved to the cluster A. So this process will be repeated until there is no change in the cluster or until a criterion function converges, until a termination condition reaches. Okay. Now let's look into the k-means clustering algorithm. The input to the algorithm are k, the number of clusters, and d, the dataset which consists of n objects. And the output from the algorithm is a set of k clusters. So to start with, we need to select k objects from the dataset D as the initial cluster centers. So initially we are choosing k objects. Okay. Then we are assigning each object to the cluster to which the object is most similar based on the mean value of the objects in the cluster. So we are calculating the distance between each object to the mean value of the cluster, and based on that value we are assigning each object to the cluster to which this object is most similar to. Then we are updating the cluster means, that is we are calculating the mean value of the objects for each cluster. And we are repeating this process until there is no change in the clusters. So here we are given with 12 data points. Each point is represented using the x and y coordinates. And among these 12 points, 2 are taken as the initial cluster center because we are given with the k as 2. So we need 2 clusters. So we selected 2 objects as the initial cluster center, and it is shown in red in color. And during the next step we are assigning each object to the most similar center. Okay, so we are using this distance function. We are calculating the distance between the point to the mean point, and based on that value we are assigning each object to the most similar center. After forming a cluster, we are recomputing the cluster means, and we are repeating this process. We are reassigning the objects again to the most similar center, and we will be repeating this process until there is no change in the cluster shape or there is no change in the cluster means. Let's look into another example. We need to cluster the 8 points into 3 clusters. Okay, so we are given with 8 points A1, A2, A2, A8. Okay, and we need to cluster these 8 points into 3. And we are arbitrarily choosing 3 objects from these 8 points. Okay, and we selected A1, A4 and A7 as the initial cluster centers. Okay, the distance function between the points A and B can be calculated using the equation x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1. Okay, so the distance between A and B can be calculated using the equation x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1. So for each object we need to find out the distance from the mean point. Okay. So among the 8 points, we selected A1, A4 and A7 as the initial cluster centers. Okay, fine. Now we need to calculate the distance from the first point to each of the 3 means by using the distance function. That is, we need to calculate the distance between 2, 10 to 2, 10, then from 2, 10 to 5, 8, then from 2, 10 to 1, 2. So we need to calculate these distances. So the distance, we can calculate that one using the distance function. P of AB is equal to x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1, where A is equal to x1 comma y1 and B can be represented by the points x2 comma y2. So first let us look into the point, the distance between 2 10 and 2 10. So the point is 2 10, the mean point is also 2 10. So when we finding out the difference, we can see that the distance value is 0. Okay, now let's look into the second uh, distance calculation. We are going to calculate the distance from 2 10 to the mean point 5 8. Okay, so here the x2 is 5 and the x1 is 2. So first we need to perform 5 minus 2, that is 3. Then y2 minus y1. Here the y2 is 8 and y1 is 10. So we are performing 8 minus 10 and we are taking only the absolute value. We are not taking the negatives value. We are just taking the difference. So 8 minus 10, that is the difference is 2. So 3 plus 2 is taken and we are getting the distance as 5. Okay, fine. Now, similarly, we are going to calculate the distance between the points 2, 10 and 1, 2. And we got the value as 9. Okay. So using the similar method, we are calculating the distance between every point to the mean point. Okay, so we are calculating the distance between 2 comma 10 to the 2 comma 10 as 0. Similarly, 2 comma 10 to 5 comma 8 as 5, and 2 comma 10 to 1 comma 2 as 9. Okay, so this 2 comma 2, among these three values 0, 5, 9, so the lowest value is 0. That means it remains in the first cluster. Okay, similarly, we need to calculate the distance between the point 2 comma 5 and the mean point 2 comma 10. We'll be getting the values 5, 6 and 4. So among these three values, the lowest value is 4, which is more closest to the cluster 3, and so this point A2 will be assigned to the cluster 3. Okay, so after this iterative one, we'll be getting a table with the values or the distance between the points to the mean points. So based on the distance value, we'll be assigning each object to the cluster which is more similar to, or which is having lower distance. Okay, so in the cluster 1 we'll be having only one element, and in the cluster 3 we'll be having only two elements, 2 comma 5 and 1 comma 2, and all the other elements are assigned in cluster 2. Okay, so now we got cluster 1, 2 and 3. After iterative 1, we got cluster 1, 2 and 3. Okay, next we need to recompute the new cluster centers or the mean values by taking the mean of all the points in each cluster. So in the cluster 1, we are having only 1 point, and so the mean remains the same. But in the cluster 2, to find out the mean of all the points in each cluster, first we need to take all the x values. So we are calculating the 8 plus 5 plus 7 plus 6 plus 4 divided by total 5 points are there. So divided by 5, comma, then we are taking the average of the y values, 4 comma 8 comma 5, 4 plus 8 plus 5 plus 4 plus 9 divided by 5. So we'll be getting the value as 6 comma 6. So the new mean value of the cluster 2 is 6 comma 6. Similarly, for the cluster 2, we are having only 2 points. The average of x value 2 plus 1, 3 divided by 2 comma 5 plus 2, that is 7 divided by 2, that is 3.5. So we are getting the value as 1.5 comma 3.5. So we are recomputing the new cluster means. Okay. So using this x comma y coordinates, all the 8 points are depicted, and among the 8 points, 3 are selected, A1, A4 and A7 are selected, that is shown in red in color. Then we are computing the centroid. Okay, we are based on that centroid value, we got 3 clusters. In the first cluster we are having only one element A1, and in the second cluster we are having 5 elements, A8, A4, A5, A3 and A6, and in the cluster 3 we are having 2 elements, A2 and A7. So this is the diagrammatic representation after the first iteration of the algorithm. We go to the iteration 2, iteration 3 and so on until the means do not change anymore, until there is no change in the average value or mean value. So in iteration 2, we basically repeat the process from iteration 1 using the new means we computed. So after iteration 2, the result will be, in the first cluster, we will be having the elements A1 and A8. And the second cluster will be having A3, A4, A5 and A6, and the third cluster will be having A2 and A7 with the centers C1 is equal to 3, 9.5 and C2 is equal to 6.5 and 5.5, 5.25 and C3 is equal to 1.5, 3.5. Then we are repeating the process. After iteration 3, we will be getting again the cluster 1 as A1, A4 and A8. Cluster 2 consists of A3, A5 and A6, and cluster 3 consists of A2 and A7. And again we are recomputing the value of C1, C2 and C3. And this process will be repeated until there is no change in the mean value. Okay. clusters after second iteration and third iteration is depicted here. We can see that in the second iteration we are having only 2 elements in the first cluster, and after the iteration 3 we are having 3 elements in the first cluster, 3 elements in the second cluster, and 2 elements in the third cluster. Suppose we want to group the visitors to a website using their age. Okay, we are given with 19 visitors and the k value is given as 2. That is, we are grouping the visitors into 2. Okay, so we are giving 19 visitors age value. Okay, so among these 19 age values, we are selecting 2 values as the initial cluster centers. So C1 is equal to 16 and C2 is equal to 22 is arbitrarily selected. Then we need to calculate the distance of each xi to the C1 and C2. So using this distance function xi minus C1 or xi minus C2. So using that distance function, we need to calculate the distance of each xi to this C1 and C2. So from 15 to the C1 16, what is the distance? Okay, similarly for each age group, we are calculating the distance. Okay, so after the first iteration, the objects will be assigned based on the distance. Okay, so if the distance is 1, then the nearest cluster will be 1. So based on the distance value, it will be assigned to the nearest cluster. Okay, again now we are recomputing the C1 and C2 values. Now we got C1 as 15.33 and C2 as 36.25. We are iterating the same process. After the second iteration, we computed the C1 and C2 again and we got it as 18.56 and 45.90 respectively. And we repeated for the third time and for the fourth time. So there is no change between the iterations 3 and 5 has been noted. So in both these iterations, the new centered value remains same. Okay, so the algorithm terminates. So by looking into the final table, we can see that xi, which consists of the age groups from 15 to 28. Then from the age groups 35 to 65 belongs to the second cluster, right? So by using cluster, 2 groups have been identified: the age group between 15 and 28 and 35 to 65. Okay. Another example, here we are giving with a table with RID, age and years of service. And we need to cluster this into 2 groups. Okay, so the number of desired cluster is 2. K is given as 2. So we are randomly selecting the records with RID 3 and 6 for the cluster C1 and C2 as the initial cluster centroids. So we randomly choose 2 records with the RID 3 and 6. Okay, fine. And we need to calculate the distance of each object to this 3 and 6, right? So the remaining records will be assigned to one of those clusters during the first iteration of the repeat loop. Okay, so we are calculating the distance. Okay, so from C1 the distance is 22.4 and from C2 towards the RID1 the distance is 32.0. So the lowest value is C1 and so this RID1 joins to the cluster 1. Similarly, we are calculating the distance values for RID2, 4 and 5 from each cluster C1 and C2, and it will be assigned to those clusters with lower distance. Okay. Now the new mean value for the 2 clusters are computed. The new mean value for C1 is 33.75, 8.75 and for C2 is 52.5 and 25. We proceed with the second iteration and the 6 records will be placed into the 2 clusters as follows. Records with RIDs 1, 4 and 5 will be placed in C1 and the rest will be placed in C2. Again, we are recomputing the mean point of C1 and C2. And now we got it as for C1, the value is 28.3, 6.7. And for C2, it is 51.7, 21.7. Again, we are assigning the objects. So in the next iteration, all the records stay in their previous clusters, and so the algorithm terminates. Okay. K-means clustering algorithm attempts to determine K partitions that minimize the square error function. So as we know, the error means the distance between the point and the mean point. So we are taking only the points with lower distance towards the cluster mean point. Okay. It works well when the clusters are compact clouds that are rather well separated from one another. This algorithm has some disadvantages also. So the first one is it is applicable only when mean is defined. So we can calculate the average value only for the numerical data. So what about this categorical data? Is it possible to calculate the average of categorical data? It is not possible, right? So that is one of the disadvantage of this clustering algorithm. Then the second point is we need to specify the K in advance. K is the number of clusters. So we need to give the number of clusters in advance. And the third point is it is unable to handle the noisy data and outliers. Outliers are those objects which is behaving entirely different from other objects. So this K-means clustering is unable to handle such outliers also. And it is not suitable to discover clusters with non-convex shapes or clusters of very different shapes. So in this video, we discussed about the K-means clustering algorithm in detail. Thank you.